Labour MP Natalie Fleet completely eviscerated Kemi Badenoch for weaponising grooming gangs on GB News. Let's take a look.
Kemi Badenoch there, you just overheard as you came into the studio, has been very critical of your colleague, Jess Phillips, the safeguarding minister, calling her the worst safeguarding minister ever. What's your response to that?
I'm angry. I'm really, really angry, and that's why I am here today. So as somebody who has been groomed, I didn't think that I should ever be in Parliament. The reason that I am in Parliament is because of people like Jess Phillips. Jess has not only told me that I am not responsible for my experience, she said that Parliament would benefit people like me being in it. And I look at Keir and I think that we've got people that take it really seriously. The stuff he did around Rochdale, the stuff Jess did in 20 years for Women's Aid. The first person that reached out to me in my constituency was somebody who had been raped and waited 4 years and 5 months from rape to prosecution. The Home Secretary came to meet that woman. This is a government that is absolutely committed to halving violence against women and girls. And then we've got a leader of the opposition that, for point-scoring reasons, dares to send an email out to Conservative members saying that they have won. How has anybody won in this absolutely abhorrent situation that we are in? You know, when Kemi Badenoch was a Minister for Women and Equalities, she never met one grooming victim. She didn't speak about it in Parliament. Last Parliament, we spoke about football more often than we spoke about rape. And then you've got a leader of the opposition that comes out and says to people like me, we won, because she's done some cheap point scoring in the chamber or on the media round. She has no idea. I do not know how she dare.
Now, viewers of this show know that we have no love lost for the Labour Party, and those that know me will know that I have been a big critic of Jess Phillips. However, we aren't partisan hacks, right? We will praise parties when they do good things or defend them when attacks are not warranted. Now, Kemi Badenoch really has no leg to stand on. I mean, not only as leader of a party that was in government for 14 years and did nothing on this scandal, she was also Minister of Women and Equalities. Tisha, we can talk about Labour and whether their approach is substantial enough or not, but what do you make of Fleet's scathing attack on Badenoch?
There's a time for political scoring. Kemi Badenoch needs to read the room and realise that this is not the time. People are disgusted at the politicisation of group-based child sexual exploitation. And we can hear that from Natalie Fleet herself, who is a survivor of grooming. In my assessment of the Tory MPs, they're trying to deflect from the failures of not implementing one recommendation from Alexis Jay's report when they were in power. And through this deflection, we're seeing unnecessary attacks. And as a result, we're not centering survivors and potential victims in the conversation. It's about self-serving interest. So it's understandable from Natalie's experiences herself, her relationship with Jess Phillips, the visible frustration we can see from her. And I just want to say, like, whatever our political beliefs, as you mentioned, we cannot deny the amazing work and support that Jess Phillips has provided to women and girls who have suffered abuse in various forms. I noticed Natalie mentioned Women's Aid, and we have to remember the time that when the likes of Elon Musk was dominating the conversation surrounding grooming gangs on X, that Jess Phillips was subjected to horrific abuse, far-right abuse and misogynistic abuse as well. And Women's Aid came out in solidarity and talked about the work that she's done in championing women and victims when she was a victims champion in Birmingham and also at a national level as well.
The position that Kemi's coming from, right, she's acting as if she wasn't part of the Conservative establishment. But she was a member of the party, she's now leader of that party, and she's from the Women's Equality, or Minister for Women's Equality. But in terms of Labour, I mean, what do you make of their response to child exploitation? I mean, they have come out and said they're going to pursue a national inquiry despite ruling out before. So do you think Labour are doing enough? Or do you think, and many people have put this argument forward, that by doing another national inquiry, it actually kind of undermines the last one. And we just need to put in the recommendations from the last report, despite the fact that Casey is now saying that a new national inquiry is a good thing.
You've perfectly presented, I think, the difficult situation that Labour found themselves in. So you had some people calling for a national inquiry and then others saying the priority should be implementing the recommendations from the last inquiry. And what I've seen them do is talk about conducting an audit, which Casey has done. And now Casey herself has said at the end of this, I can see a clear need for an inquiry, which now Keir Starmer supports. And we have to bear in mind, at the time, the reason this came to the forefront was, again, the dominance of the conversation in X. And the parties that were calling for it didn't seem genuine. They were heavily influenced by social media. We look at the Tories, we look at Reform UK. We saw Kemi Badenoch hijack the Children's School Wellbeing Bill by implementing a Reckon Amendment under the ploy of implementing a national agreement inquiry, knowing that it was going to make the bill unworkable. So I just think at the time, if to have immediately responded and said we're going to do another national inquiry without kind of providing any basis or reason, people were going to say you were influenced by Elon Musk.
I completely understand, for once, actually, Keir Starmer's position on this, though, because it was almost politically impossible to say we're not going to do a national inquiry. In fact, that's what they said they were going to do, and they've sort of U-turned on this because it does look really, really bad. One thing I think is really missing from the conversation, particularly in the mainstream media, because this discussion has been around who can blame who, or it's been heavily, heavily racialized. But the thing that hasn't been spoken about is austerity, right? I don't think you can look at 14 years of austerity and say that you can effectively combat these kinds of crimes. And actually, the Labour Party coming in and saying, we're going to do so much work on this, but really aren't changing the economic system very much. They're not, I mean, look, I don't think they're necessarily putting forth austerity anymore, but they're not exactly putting in massive amounts of investment. And when it comes to austerity, this is where a lot of problems arise. Services are being cut. Even when it comes to the policing, that's being cut too. So no one's looking at the economic side of it. It's either we're going to play the blame game, or if you reform, they put it on immigration.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point that you've raised. I've not even considered the economic impacts of this as well. And I guess the next stage we face now is having this national inquiry. Already, we now not only have Alexis Jay's recommendations that they said they were going to work on, one which is making it enforceable upon people to report, but you're also now got Baroness Casey's recommendations, and then you're going to have a national inquiry. And like you said, there's a lot of implications there by doing that too.
Support independent media, support social justice that's there on social media. Thank you. Turn left.